Ah, Hello, and welcome to another edition of East of Ethnia. This week, I want to talk to you about music. And when I say I want to talk to you about music, what I mean is we are not going to be talking about music, or at least we're not going to be talking about music mostly. We're going to be talking about an incident that involves music in a sort of peripheral way, that has, in a strange way, caused a constitutional crisis in Croatia and also brought some issues forward that we probably need to understand. So to begin with, let me tell you about a musician, a fellow by the name of Marko Perkovic, who goes by the nickname of Thompson, although Thompson was, I think, originally the name of his band, which became prominent during the period of the wars of the 1990s. This was a group of people that used to go and entertain soldiers and all of that with their songs that are very loud, very slogan heavy, very ideological, and very much reliant on not only mobilizing people to conflict and hatred, but also reminiscence associated with the symbolism of the regime that occupied Croatia from 1941 to 1945, using their slogans and visual imagery. For example, so the nickname Thompson was transferred from the band to Marko Perkovic himself. It's after the Thompson submachine gun, and I think the nickname stuck to him because very much like a submachine gun, he's loud and stuff just kind of spooges out of him really quickly without time for thought. And you would imagine that this would be an appearance that would come at the time of the war and then leave as people become interested in more normal things and music that is more musical. But apparently, this is not the case. He continues to be very popular, possibly the most popular performer in Croatia. He did a series of concerts that in the summer of last year. For one of them, he claimed to get an audience of 500,000 people. If this is true, it's certainly one of the largest audiences we've seen in the region. But at his performances, he uses the fascist imagery. He uses other kinds of symbols associated with the right wing. He's into swords and fireworks and God knows what. But in any case, it's especially his use of slogans associated with the period of fascism that he's been banned from playing in a number of places. So Switzerland has made clear that they don't want him coming over for concerts, and Germany, Australia doesn't want him around. So he's considered provocative because these are all states that ban the use and display of fascist imagery. And the same thing has happened in the city of Zagreb, the capital of Croatia, where after a concert in December, which he graced his performance with a number of fascist slogans, the city government of Croatia simply says, "This violates our law. We don't want you playing in Zagreb anymore." All of which would be fine. Were it not for this last weekend, when the European Handball Championship was held and the Croatian team got a bronze medal. They came in third, okay? And this was considered a victory worth celebrating, so there was a plan to welcome the players of the handball team as they returned from the tournament at the airport. And at the last minute, after the medal was won, the players had a condition. They said, "We want Thompson performing at this welcoming ceremony. And if he's not performing, then there's not going to be a ceremony." So there wasn't a ceremony. The city government, which controls the property of the airport at which the ceremony would be held, said Thompson is not going to be playing in the city. And so the government of the Republic responded, organizing their alternative celebration on the main square, with Thompson performing, but apparently avoiding several of his most controversial compositions, if you want to call it that. Now, this brings forward a number of problems. First of all, it shows the close association between the ruling party in the Republic of Croatia and the far-right ideology that is personified by Thompson, something that's been shown before. No, in last summer, the Prime Minister came to attend with his family the concert by Thompson. Yesterday in the parliament in Croatia, one of the deputies, Anton Arsen Bauk of the Social Democratic Party, said that time the Prime Minister kissed Thompson's ring, and this time, yesterday, you went a little bit lower. And in doing so, the government also violated the law. Why? Because the duty to and obligation to give permits for use of public property for meetings, festivals, whatever, belongs to the city government. The city government also bears the costs and the duties that are associated with these kind of public commemorations, security, cleaning, issuing licenses to the people who sell snacks and drinks and souvenirs and so on. So basically, what happened is that the government of the republic usurped a portion of the authority of the government of the city, and this has led now to a standoff, threats. I mean, this is going to be an ongoing political crisis for several weeks now. Now, here's what I'm going to say. Okay. Now, the legal conflict between the city government and the government of the republic, this is going to play out somehow. Like either somebody will win, or there will be a compromise, or there will be an ongoing standoff. We don't know. On the question of musical taste, I mean, the music that we're talking about is enormously popular, but I think, in my opinion anyway, pretty bad music. It's like stadium rock with accordions. You wouldn't want your children to listen to it. But we're not here to talk about people's musical taste. Lots of people have good and bad musical taste, and there are people who enjoy bad taste. Taste is complex, but in this context, taste is important only as a reflection of political power. And this is, I think, what's at stake here. So let's look a little bit at the context. First of all, this happens as part of the response to the celebration of a victory or third place victory in a sporting competition. This means a couple of things. This means that sport is being used as a vehicle by political parties, right? They're using it to exploit the victories or the good feelings that are associated with sports teams in order to establish ideological positions. Something that has helped when I guess as is the case here, the players in the sports team share their ideological presuppositions, but also there's this assumption that sport is a source of social power. So the good showing by the handball team in Scandinavia is interpreted by at least some people as an opportunity for people associated with them to set state policy as it's related to things like ideological displays. And when we go to music, the question gets a little bit larger because when we talk about music and about art in general, look, there are good artists in Croatia, in every state in the region. There are fantastic artists and there are great musicians. These are not the artists who are associated with regimes in power. They really don't want anything to do with those regimes. The regimes promote different kinds of artists. They promote, some kitsch things. They promote some political things. So in Croatia, when HDZ is in power, they're going to be promoting Thompson and Jacques Hudek, people like that. In Serbia, the regime that is in power is going to be promoting somebody who's sort of a counterpart to Thompson from the same period, Baja Malik Ninja, if you've heard of him, and if you haven't, try to keep it that way. And then in comes this figure, Marko Perkovic, called Thompson. So I think not a particularly good or distinguished musicians. Yeah, these compositions are sort of rat-a-tat-tat compositions. There are a lot of kind of choruses as slogans for people to shout along with in the stadium. So not a particularly good musician, and also not a particularly good person. Somebody who spreads fascist ideology and hatred. In December, as part of the same series of concerts that got him banned from playing in Zagreb, he tried to encourage people to remove the mayor of Zagreb, somebody who was elected and re-elected as mayor in Zagreb through violent confrontation. So he's not interested in democratically elected power. I mean, the kinds of politicians that he supports were not brought into power through democratic means, but by an invasion from Germany. So not really distinguished in ways that people it would respect, but outstanding at getting himself into headlines. And this is another case in which he's done it, so reinforcing his own importance. And this tells us something about the system more broadly, because you have this government that is not representative. I mean, certainly not of the feeling in Zagreb, where the elected city council decided that they don't want that kind of display in the city. You have artists who are not representative neither of the state of art in the place where they play, nor of the part of the public outside of this large but nonetheless fringe area. You have media that are not representative, building on the scandal and increasing and maintaining the prominence of these figures. And what this means on the ground then is because there is so much mistake, ordinary citizens can't enjoy music. They can't enjoy sport. They can't enjoy life. Too many things are in the way. And that is my happy conclusion for this week. Thank you for the time and attention, and we will talk to you again.